Quarter of a century of action at this circuit, and a couple of weeks ago for Carrera Cup it was a different street circuit and Grand Prix circuit in Adelaide, and the reason why we're highlighting this is because amazingly Stephen Richards' bang is back despite that big hit.
And unamazingly for Richo, race one yesterday caught up in another accident, more damage to his car and another overnight repair for the former series champion. So it's been a rotten start to the season for the five-time Bathurst champion. That was a very big impact.
Following Cooper Murray on debut this weekend in Porsche PAYCE, Carrera Cup Australia, and that was an unusual one. I haven't seen too many like that here at the centre chicane. Hopefully the front end of that car's okay.
We were quite tight following that car, weren't we? So it's hard to see. It looked like started braking and tried to turn the car in and maybe had a slide and couldn't catch the rear. Quite a decent impact into the tyres. How far did the gravel fly across the road? Lucky it's the end of the session. The checkered flag has just dropped on practice 2.
You know what, he may very well have caught that, but then he's hit the gravel and it's sort of sent the car violently on a different pattern and a different course. Unfortunately, head on into the fence, but he very nearly saved that until it was definitely a goner. Front end of that car, though, hopefully for Garth Walden and the crew, isn't too badly damaged. And Adrian Flack's car has had a big one through turn 8. And front and rear, heavily damaged. A little bit of a flame in that rear exhaust. And have a look at the mess.
And here it is, turn 8. It's great for so many reasons and perilous for these. Didn't actually hit the outside wall, so had a big slide. Lost the rear and then drilled that inside fence.
That is one of the most telling shots ever. You couldn't actually see the impact. All you could see were the parts getting thrown around. Wham!
And just hit the fence there where there's the gap for the marshals to jump out, and then smashed its way down, damaged both front and rear corners.
This is the shot.
This is at full speed.
Watch for the parts. Almost like a cartoon where it's been just sprayed across the track. That's a really unfortunate way to end the session. Did bounce straight out of that car. And from what we could see, at least outright, no one was going to take that pole away from David Wall, regardless. Maybe someone had something left for Anthony Gilbertson in Tag Heuer Pro-Am.
But we'll take it easy in this. And they're pretty smart. The McElroy boys can be pretty strict on the radios if it comes to it. Here's a look. That's Josh Hunt going through. Whoa. Just on his own.
A serious head of steam down there. Had knee surgery back in November, Tim, and was really struggling with getting his right knee down and right foot down on the brake pedal last year, but feels much better in the car this year. A different kind of stall had he climbed any higher. Meanwhile, Max Twigg down at turn 4 coming in hot, and off the front left of Cooper Murray and backwards and into the fence.
So that was for position Murray passing Twigg. So he dropped behind the WM Waste car in that opening lap. Such a bad start. And this is another look at it. And Max is just going to end up out in that barrier. Liam Talbot took advantage.
In the Tag Heuer Pro-Am class, had won 8 of the last 11 races until yesterday on this circuit. Wow, something come off the car of O'Keefe. He's got damage to the right front. And he was very lucky to keep it out of the fence.
Tyre bundle at turn 5. Here they go. Click. Bang. That was the moment. You saw the debris come across, bouncing across in front of Warren Luff behind him, and it was that moment that broke, and that's exactly what happened to Michael Armand in the race yesterday, and he was running second at the time, and that's torn the front corner out of that car because it changes so much over the weekend with all the F1 rubber being laid down. He's just made a mistake at turn 1.
It'll be wide, Boulder, massive wide, and through the gravel. Rare, given his experience here, former race and round winner at Albert Park for a while. This was the one track where we went to on the calendar.
Chipping away and get yourself in the right position by the end of it. So off the road at turn 1, that was Michael Armand, and it looks to me that that car is missing its front splitter, and if it wasn't before, it will be now. So just struggling to get that car turned in, and he has dropped back down to 14th place.
Jordan Love down there at turn 1. Maxwell had a bit of a bushfire going with that right front Michelin.
How many times have we seen that car come in and make contact with the car turning across in front? So that was contact.
Paint swapped. Here it is again. Watch for the bend entry, wheel to wheel, as Miles turned in. Quite literally wheel to wheel, and also behind them. That was very tight. Oh no, it's Cooper Murray, and if he's not too careful, he'll get stuck here.
He's taken a lot of the grass up. Here's what happened. Maxwell down the inside, the juniors. I don't think he was far enough down, Thomas. Murray was certainly covering his racing line on the inside. Big battle pack behind Avash and Pagliacci from 8th, down through to McBride in 11th.
Oh.
Here's the teammates going wheel to wheel. And Cook doing the same on flag. Talbot running wide, and Timmy Miles has spun on the exit of turn 13.
Now, is there more to this? He was side by side with Anthony Gilbertson. Very rare you see the man on the inside spin.
Yeah. He was a long way down.
And the second battle pack. Oh, also coming to a head here. Hunt, eager to get on the loud pedal with a little bit.
Each thing's in the favour of Warren Luff. Dean Cook down the inside of Sam Shahin, who's been a bit of a magnet in this race. At that corner, he and Tim Miles, not too long ago, were bumping wheels.
That seems to go all right around this place. Dale Wood off and wide going through turn 2. He's going to get the kitty lit up. He's right on the edge. Kept it out of the gravel.
What's going on down at Siberia?
Oh, actually, what's going on at Honda?
Honda.
Yeah. At the top, it was Tim Miles. Had a special tour of his brand new tyres before he threw them on down there in pit lane. It is a monstrous last sector. Oh, no, he's just about to throw it off the road as well at the Southern Loop. Big lock up. We've got a car stuck out there. Is that Dale Wood?
It is.
Wow. So we'll get a red flag potentially with 5 seconds to go. They should get to the checkered flag. And mid-corner lose, Southern Loop. Hopefully hasn't hurt that left rear tyre in the process.
Well, that'll be the worry now. It won't necessarily be the stuck in the gravel.
Whizzes by, and Pagliacci goes side by side with Stephen Richards, also not too far away from Stephen Richards Motorsport. Well, we got one around in turn 1. That was a massive moment, and cars going everywhere as Tim Miles does some lawn cutting with Adrian Flack, and Anthony Gilbertson leading the championship in the Tag Heuer Pro-Am class, stranded at turn 1. That was an almighty lose.
That's a big moment from a championship point of view. So Gilbertson was sideways at the apex.
Wow.
It's 200 plus k's an hour there in one of these cars, full commitment and going the wrong way. And it's his teammate on the outside. So he got up on the curb, Anthony did. And that's what unsettled the car, and it fired it around. His teammate was on the outside and caught up in that. They're going wheel to wheel. So that's Gilbertson in the 19 down the inside. Not quite enough room. Squeezed by Miles. And up on that curb, which is what unsettled the car and turned it around. Take another look, top of your screen. Diving in mid-corner there, wheel to wheel. That'll be an interesting one to police for race control. It's a long way back, but then when they made contact, he was a long way up the inside. This will show it from Josh Hunt's perspective. So watch to his right. Well, Josh is sliding. So he's made an error going in there and has missed the apex and that turning point. So he was wide. It was like the invitation was there. Only just sent, though, for Maxwell to accept it up the inside, and as a result, they made contact. This is Josh Hunt, middle of the pack. It's busy. There's dust everywhere. Car off on driver's right. It's Warren Luff. Copped a penalty in yesterday's race, 10 seconds for a driving infringement. Dropped back to 7th from 5th as a result of that.
Oh, this is not going to end well. Shahin through the signage and collected by Warren Luff. And amazingly, it doesn't look like anyone else is involved down there. Oh, your heart sinks, Krause, when you see him sliding up to a corner like that.
So this is back further at the Southern Loop. And this is unpicking what happened to Warren Luff. So he was off wide, and David Wall going past there. And this is what dropped him back into the pack that allowed that contact further down the road to happen. Was there contact? Possibly the slightest little bump and run there from David Wall, but let's have a look. Off the grass, so ran wide at turn 3 and drilled the Mega Fuels McElroy Racing entry. It's the first anniversary of the Ben Motorsport Park opening today, and that's not how they wanted to celebrate it. So Stephen Grove just moving across there, and Sam had nowhere to go. Grove leading the points in Tag Heuer Pro-Am for the round result. So first and second for the round, getting into each other at turn 4, Chad. It's a big moment in the context of the round, and for the drivers that were looking to rebound from dramas yesterday, like Liam Talbot and Anthony Gilbertson, that's a huge free kick.
And how spectacular is this slow-mo shot with the grass clippings, the styrofoam, and then Porsche on Porsche. Amazing that more cars weren't involved down there.
It's like a battle scene from Game of Thrones with stuff going everywhere. And that was quite a big impact for Warren Luff.
The weird thing is, he must have got him flush on the wheel. You could just see the tiniest bit of damage to Warren Luff's car. almost as if it was not even involved in that accident. It would look like it's going to be so much bigger than that.
Gilbertson tried to do that yesterday and it didn't work for him and ended up spearing off the road, and that was Cameron Hill, young man from Canberra, out wide at turn 12.
Already up. Dean Cook's run wide down here. He's got Ash Seawood Motorsport backing this weekend with Dylan O'Keefe helping out. Good to see Dylan O'Keefe back in the paddock, who drove for this team last year. Keep your boot in it and arrive at the other end of the Southern Loop. Geez, good effort.
5 to go, and Kandira Padiachi, that's at turn 10. MG just looping the Hyundai Forklifts car run by Garth Walden Racing.
He's coming out of these corners, and Padiachi off again down here now as well at turn 2. It's been a tough one for him to run. Had so much pickup, which is rubber, building up inside the wheel arches of the car. Meanwhile, at turn 10,
10 miles.
Oh, this will be how we lost Indaran. Tried to stay off the inside of Roger Largo's car. Sort of jumped on the grenade there.
And that was a bit of the Porsche pendulum effect as he got out of the throttle mid-corner. And went all right, practice one this morning. He was 12th fastest.
That's the view for Devarshan Padiachi. Is Dean Cook, I think that was, went slipping off the road, straight through the windscreen. And he's been extraordinarily lucky to keep that out of the fence and get it back on the road.
That is rare to do either of those things down there.
Continue to climb. Let's see if we can pick up what's happened here to the Office Fields Porsche. And if this has truly stayed out of the fence, it's one of the great escapes we'll see all weekend.
At high speed, we saw a car off there in the improved production session before it. Does he get contact? Oh, just gentle. It barely left a mark though, Chad.
Not even a need for a new left front headlight assembly on car 22. And that's a really unusual one.
It just didn't turn, did it, for Devarshan Padiachi, who's currently 6th fastest.
The run onto the front straight, turn 14. So there's the initial distraction of Dean Cook slipping off the road.
I wonder if he might have actually been distracted. It might have just got in his brain a little bit. And he's just understeered wide and it's gone out over that exit curb and it's pulled the car off the road. But I think maybe just a little lapse of concentration with Cook's car firing it off.
Much out of Warren Luff today after those dramas that Krause was mentioning.
Well, and in good signs for Stephen Richards. He's 3rd. He's a long way down in the championship, in 18th at the moment, so he needs a really good weekend. It's just what happened to Dale Wood this season, GWR. Outstanding. And they're just chipping away a little bit as Tim Miles down the inside of Sam Shahin. 2 deep, no rear aero. The car didn't want to stop. He got it through remarkably. Good driving from Sam. Oh, no, this is big.
That's going to go all the way to the fence. Gee, they were playing with fire with that boot lid. And it's come, unfortunately, to a violent end. Straight into that tyre wall. Safety car deployed.
All debate and all question on whether the rear wing would hold up have gone out the window, and let's hope Tim Miles is okay. He's a huge supporter of motorsport in this country. I'll try and grab a chat with him when he comes back to the lane.
It's not even a matter of if it's going to come off. At some point, that was always going to affect the aerodynamics of that car in a very negative way.
Yeah, you can imagine the discussion that was going on. The category would have been, no, you've got to pit him. The team would have been, no, he's fighting for position and points in Pro-Am. We need to keep him out. Risk-free reward. There's the risk. There was no reward. Into the tyres, quite a big impact. A lot of damage along the side of that car. If there's one benefit, it hit square on. So hopefully it hasn't done any chassis damage.
Passing opportunity up here. They go side by side. Give that one to Liam Talbot. Dale Wood snuck through ahead of Mike Armand as well. So Armand off the front row. Oh no, this is going to be big. Oh! Into the left-hand driver's side door of Jordan Love. Nasty impact. And this youngster is fighting for a championship. Surely out of action in this one. That was always going to be a big one. He's moving around inside the car, which is the good news, but that was a nasty, nasty hit.
Off the road on the exit of turn 5 and out of control across the apex of 6 up into the valley here at this amazing little racetrack outside of Darwin. So watch the blue car, middle of screen, there's contact. So he was tagged by another car behind. I wonder if that was Cook or Padiachi. He was in that area of those two guys.
Look for it back. So Cook was on the curb.
Yeah, it's Cook. So just the lightest of nudge and it sent him off and he corrected. And the car spun and square into the side of the 777. That's a huge impact. Roger Largo will consider himself lucky in that black and green car, the Dayco entry, for not being collateral damage in that impact.
It was always going to be one of them down there that it was going to go through. This is the reaction from Sonic when they were watching the replays just now.
car 27, watch it, all racing entry. He went down the inside of Cook at turn 5. It was a big move. Got it done, though, really nice. And then there's the contact right there. Fires the blue car off to the infield. Oh, crunch, and everyone checks up. And as I said, lucky to get out of that. And it'll be significantly reduced, irrespective of whether he gets out. Cook down the inside of Chicken, enormous contact. 22 launch skyward and way down to the end of the escape road.
Goodness me. Still in the throttle, but he's got no steering. And he is well and truly out of action beyond the braking zone and beyond the runoff. Here it is again. Wow. That car nearly took off.
Will be a really interesting one for race control to look at. And they've been very big this weekend on cars continuing to move. You make your one move to defend under brakes.
Here we go.
And that's where you stay.
From PAYCE's point of view, get set for takeoff. Oh, who was that he missed? Was that Largo again? Has Largo avoided 2 from 2 today?
He has. Armand starts have been very good this weekend. He needs to hold on here on the inside, and he does so. Good racing.
Whoa, drama here with Maxwell, McBride, and Stephen Richards having to avoid another one. And there's 2 or 3 drivers involved. PAYCE's got damage, and Largo couldn't get away with this one. Third time's a charm for the Daco entry. Maxwell, with steering damage, is trying to get out of the way. McBride looks stranded as well. What has transpired up here at turn 5? Krause, here we go.
When Roger Largo, car 23, just in front. He's avoided all of the accidents today, except this one, and tried to thread the eye of the needle and got turned around. Oh, that was quite significant contact. Once, twice to the Sydney-based driver in car 34. This will tell us a little bit more. We were focusing on that fight for second. Maxwell gets a little bit of a hit. Richo was on the outside. He drills the back of Nick McBride's car, which goes spearing off. And through it all, Anthony Gilbertson, a little bit of collateral damage there.
So McBride was over the dust. There was the initial tap. So it was door-to-door with Richo. No chance to pull the car up into McBride. And then the rest of them piled in. Let's go down to Andy.
In the back of his mind.
Further back in the field, Scott Taylor going for a spin in the beautifully presented STM Scott Taylor Motorsport Porsche. Just about best presented in the field this weekend with his usual look that he has across the board in his GT racing as well. Let's take a look over his shoulder at how this happened.
He was a bit disappointed he didn't get to drive his transporter up here this weekend. Usually he's the truckie behind the wheel, carting his race cars around Australia.
That's another one out the windscreen in the pro category. Cooper Murray. And this is going to be a Voyager discovery for him this weekend.
So that's what we were talking about before, and that shot showed it perfectly that the car landed once it launched off the curb, and then it went into oversteer. He had opposite lock-on because the car was so unsettled for using too much. Went hard right to get down to the apex there at turn 2. This a little bit further, so this is Tim Miles. Significant contact with both cars without tasting of victory.
Oh no, it's Jordan Love. And this season that started with so much promise, it's getting worse. Still hanging in there in 5th spot, but there's been some drama. It started with this one right here.
So that's the incident that Thomas Maxwell was given a drive-through penalty for contact with his teammate, the man second in the championship. Until this race, he won't be afterwards. So quite a lot of contact, and they are teammates at Sonic Motor Racing. So that's another look at it. A great camera angle above that final hairpin. It's a tight corner, second gear in these cars, try and feed the power in. And this is on board with Jordan Love's main rival, and this is a Christmas and birthday present all at once because he sees Jordan Love pointing the wrong way.
In the back of Tim Miles. If you jump, I'll jump.
Someone's already lost their front splitter there as well. It was
That's
just
been out
sitting
there for
off
ages, actually, yeah.
the exit of that exit curb.
Down there at turn 2. He was gracious with the room he left, and they took advantage of it. Stephen Richards, Taylor, Shaheen, and we would be a chance of getting everyone moving down there. Doesn't look like overly heavy contact for Stephen Richards. Some damage to the rear wing. Shaheen contact. What happened down at turn 2? Richo around. Difficult to see exactly what the spark was that started that fire down there.
It's a long way through the corner when it started being turned, the O'Brien car. Let's have a look. A little bit too far ahead for us to see from that shot on board the McElroy car from Tim Miles. This might tell us a little bit more. Middle pack, about to come into shot now. Let's see if there was contact. Well, it's Hallmark Porsche into side of the O'Brien car. Whether that was one turning down on the other or one with a move down the inside, I'm not sure. We'll leave that up to Stephen Johnson, the two, I would have thought.
Meanwhile, Warren Luff, but that's nearly 200 Ks out that section of the racetrack. Is quick. Warren has gone for a GT lap. Tim Miles is now off the road as well. It's on the way back into the front part of the track. Just so many corners on this track where you can have a moment. That's turn 15.
Really challenging sequence of corners. Turn 14 to really odd late apex. Turn in quite late there and it's blind as well. You can't see the exit. And then you've got to commit early to turn 15 to get the nose in one of these cars. And that's Darwood, championship leader, going round at turn 1 and turn 2. And that's that change of directions. I think it's fair to say it's just been one of the great stories in Porsche PAYCE Carrera Cup for the last 2 seasons.
That is Brenton Grove on return. Another great story that we'll touch on shortly. Dale also brings his lovely wife Jess to most of the events and the kids, but they've got the kids off this weekend, so I think they can enjoy themselves a bit more. That was Dean Cook's view of what transpired down there at turn 1. Roger Largo, another story we've not even got to yet. This guy's pole position at Townsville, which still has us somewhat speechless.
Paddy Atchie's just had a spin around the back of the circuit. He's dropped himself down onto the GT track. Oh, bottom actually, correction, that's the top of turn 13.
That's an interesting one. I haven't seen too many go around there this weekend.
What a slightly challenging day, that's big. Brett Bolton in the wall and quite heavily on driver's right. That's coming onto the start-finish straight, Chad, on the exit of turn 18. And I'm casting my mind back to 15 months worth of racing, and I'm not sure I've seen a car end up in that wall in the very brief history of this racetrack.
I wonder if this was a Cameron Hill moment that went the other direction. There's the championship leader off the road as well. That is a fast part of the racetrack, approaching the top of the circuit. There are no small offs up here.
So we mentioned at the start, they've all been battling with oversteer, and that's what happened there for Darwood in the Polyfloor car. As he turned the car into 8 and 9, the rear end jiggled around, he caught it, but it just dumped it out into the undergrowth and didn't even get to the gravel trap. So in terms of a big off, it wasn't massive. This was a bit more significant. Brett Bolton, who's filling in for Anthony Gilbertson this weekend, the McElroy camp, out wide on the exit of turn 18 and backs the car quite heavily into the concrete barrier on the inside of the start-finish straight. Now that will have done quite a lot of damage because remember, the engine mounted points
down the grip.
0.5 faster than Adrian Flack for Rowan Pole. Yep. That's quick.
This went off so fast it lost a mirror. He's lost it on the witch's hat. That says to me he likes them fast and aero heavy.
We've talked time and time again as we watch this super slow-mo of Dave Ryan, who will qualify 20th as he makes his return to Porsche PAYCE Carrera Cup. We've talked about the level of commitment that Jordan Love's got. We've talked about how he drives the car on the rear tyre and slides it round. That backs up what we see. He's fast on the high commitment, high-speed racetracks.
First win came at Sydney Motorsport Park.
Yep.
First round win came at Bathurst.
Yep.
He's had poles and race wins at the Grand Prix circuit in Phillip Island and again here. Of 3, and it's Love who'll win this race down towards turn 1. Murray on the outside, Maxwell losing 1 or 2 spots, potentially covers Hill, and there's contact between the juniors, and Murray's wiped the front of that car across Maxwell's rear. There goes Armand, the round winner. His door's wide open. It's a chaotic start. He's off in the Dandelions, and he's going nowhere.
Well, there was a bit going on through all of that. It's going to take some work to unpit, but the net result, pure white entry of Cooper Murray, our most recent round winner. Cooper slices around the outside at turn 1, and that's where the contact is. So across into the path of Maxwell, and then it was the front of Murray's car into the rear of Thomas's car, which broke Maxwell's rear suspension and punched the front splitter on Murray's car. Here's the contact. There it is, crunch. Instantly breaks the rear upright on the Sonic Motor Racing entry and causes the damage to the front. And Michael Armand was sort of collateral damage and all of that, just being caught up in the pack. This on board with Dean Cook. He got quite a big impact there as well. Got curb on the inside and then car on the outside of the road. And this could be a pretty wild ride from the South Aussie hero, Michael Armand.
Just had to sort of jump on the grenade there.
And it was the sponsor board out in the grass that actually opened the door. Hit it hard enough. Wham.
Here's Sam Shahin watching his Carrera Cup rivals drive over all his freshly mown lawn here at the Ben Motorsport Park. Cameron Hill was on it early. Race to the lead with a terrific start and a lot of commitment at turn one, but then an enormous brake lock-up. And that trip through the gravel tore the front splitter off his 111 car. Had another lock-up a lap later. The reason for that off was that the lock-up caused a puncture. It actually tore a hole in the carcass of the tyre, and he helped Warren Luff off the road as well. So that was the end of Cameron Hill's campaign for Michelin junior driver. He was pretty frustrated with his performance. Big move for Sam Shahin. He went and saw Thomas Maxwell after that impact and owned up to that one. So really challenge race it. Let's have a look at what happened to a three-time champion in Tag Heuer Pro-Am in this class.
Similar, just went earlier.
Yeah.
Brent's was a bit further down the ripple strip, so he missed all of the tyre wall over to the right-hand side as a result.
And Stephen was pretty lurid on the exit of turn 17 as well, had the big slide. It was just even bigger a corner later. It fired him around, but you're right, he was pretty lucky to not end up in the concrete. And Sam lucky to not end up parked in the door of the Grove Hire car.
That driver is Roger Largo. And that is the dipper. And that is in the fence. Our pole sitter from Townsville. Thumbs up to the officials, he's okay.
You'll see it here. So there's the curb. Not too much curb. We were talking about that before. But it's this point here. Just gets the car turned in a little bit too early. Crunch. That would have instantly bent or broken the steering arm that connects the steering rack to the upright in the right front corner. And from that, he could have put all the lock in the world on. And the car was just going to understeer straight ahead into that super cheap auto and Cooper's barrier on driver's left. And from there, he was a passenger scraping down the fence. And under the skin there, there'll be quite a lot of damage to uprights and suspension on that car. Fortunately, it didn't look like there was any sizable impact in the rear of the car, so hopefully the driveline engine gearbox is okay. And this is at full speed. Have a listen.
It's still a big hit, but it's not as bad as some of the big ones we've seen there. From on board, let's just have a watch and a listen. He was barely pushing. It's a curious one. Not so many spots in the world you can hit three walls. Skyline and Dipper is that spot. Yeah. That's Bathurst for you in one picture, isn't it?
And Roger knows the stakes. He's the leader in the Tag Heuer Pro-Am Championship. He's been a class winner here in the Bathurst 12-hour, giving the thumbs up sign to the officials. He'll want to stay with the car while they recover that.
Dale Wood a full second off to that first sector, so not quite in the ballpark. As David Wall goes faster again. Oh no, he's going for a ride here. This is a big off. Oh, he gets the tyre wall. He just touches the concrete. How lucky that that tyre wall goes as far as it does. And it's turned what could be a total write-off into something that they might just fix for qualifying tomorrow. He was purple to the first sector. He's going to have to turn that off because it's dropping the water out of it as well. And that was a fair whack. This could have been so much worse. Slightly offline, lost the rear on entry courtesy of being half a car width too far to the right. And it skates across and just grabbed the end of the tyre wall. Once upon a time, that would have been concrete and that would have been weekend over. Oh. I can't begin to imagine what that feeling must be like when you know you're going at that point.
I don't know, sheer luck and some very, very good driving for David Wall to catch that initial slide. And then the bigger one was that secondary slide as he got to McPhillamy Park at the corner. The car was trying to fire himself off and he caught it. Really interesting note, his hands did not move from their positions on the wheel. He was under control, really calm. Yep. It's got damage on the right front corner, so he's been off the road at the top of the mountain. Let's have a look. Turn in point, 200 plus Ks an hour. This is what happened to David Wall on the rack stops trying to get it off. Did he hit it? No. That's extraordinary.
Oh, I genuinely flinched then. No.
Oh, man.
Wild through McPhillamy, somehow missing the fence. Just inches in it.
And that could have been a properly big one.
What made this story even more remarkable is that this caused damage to the car. It tore half of the front splitter off, and Jordan had one clean lap.
Just no small incidents at Mount Panorama, that's the problem. So they'll have some work to do with car 111. Early signs as the safety car is deployed.
So this is a battle with Nick McBride, Porsche Centre Melbourne car. McBride defending on the run up into Griffin's Bend.
Oh.
So there's contact between the front wheel and rear. So I reckon that's caused some damage, Chad, to the Bull Rush Rally entry. And he's just glanced the fence, so I don't think that's as bad as it initially looked when you see a car parked Greg Murphy style into the fence on the run up to the cutting.
Best finish of the season, and the fight's still on here in Takeaway Pro-Am. And with a dive bomb for the lead on the last corner, Adrian Flack gets it done, and Talbot has a lose. Can he get this thing pointed in the right direction and get himself back across the line for second? He does.
That's huge.
Wow.
Adrian Flack, what a move.
Here we go.
So this on board the 27 car. He sees the car coming, opens the steering, and then just has the lose on the exit, but no contact.
Tried to stamp the throttle to get the over-under. Got a little over-exuberant there. That was cool.
Wow, last lap pass for the win for Adrian Flack. He is going to be bouncing off the ceiling tonight. Car number 5, just going for a shot. He's got Stephen Richards in front, up to 5th place. Really nice performance. This is, like Cooper Murray, his first ever time.
Whoops.
Panorama, haven't. No, it's Michael Armand.
You're worried about that being Cooper. You're definitely worried about that being Maxwell. And no, it's his teammate. That was a strange one. Mike Armand. This incident for Mike Armand. He was chasing Steve Richards, got on the brake pedal, and then eventually, just at that critical moment, the rears locking up and gassed it out of there. Threw up a fairly large smoke screen. Did at least get his car off the racetrack in the interim, but has cost himself a bunch of spots. He's now 17th.
And in the end, the flick spin worked really well for him. He was able to get the car off the road and out of the way of a pretty important fight that he was just in front of, which is the Takeaway Pro-Am battle between Adrian Flack and Liam Talbot. How cool is this? I mean, you don't want to see a car pointing backwards, but in super slow-mo, it looks really cool anyway. And that's the South Aussie who's hugely experienced in these cars.
Scott Taylor here in the background. Watch out for the STM car. Uh-oh.
Does he keep off the fence? Yep. Doesn't actually end up off the circuit itself. Car just unloaded on the corner exit, perhaps a little bit out over that curb, and they're slowing each other up as they squabble over track position. Oh no, Stephen Richards, after such a good weekend.
That is not going anywhere. I wonder if they'll be able to get away with a local yellow down there, since that car is so far into the gravel trap. That was a big move, wasn't it? Great stuff. And the O'Brien Plumbing electrical car. Well, his co-driver did that once through the chase. There's a little bit Mark Gunnerbottom about that big jump.
07.
Nicely done.
One of the great races.
And how did he paint the other side of the car? This is how he did it.
I put some orange on one side earlier on, just like to even up the new livery for car 36. That's huge. Here it is, bit of blue this time.
Oh, well, this
is, wow.
Yeah, that's big. It was more than just a little tickle, that one. It's gone in quite hard.
Pay a visit to
through the high-rise buildings for the first lap of 28. Oh, and into the fence. Championship leader in the Takeaway Pro-Am class. And that's surely busted the radiators. And this will be no points in this race for Adrian Flack.
Absolutely furious. We'll unpick what happened for a guy who's been in such good form. Couple of round wins recently.
So let's unravel what's happened down here. Wow, he came in hot.
And really lucky, Chad, to not be collected from behind as well. That's fixable. If he was drilled by another car coming around, weekend over, throw it away. So big dive bomb up the inside of Tim Miles, who saw him coming, opened the steering a little bit to give him room, because he knew that he was not going to be able to get that car stopped. And even with the assistance of ABS, can only do so much to slow 1,300 kilos and whack into the tyres.
Very lucky with that car rolling backwards to not get collected again. Here it is from Adrian's point of view.
And it wasn't going to stop. He had an off there in practice yesterday. He was about to go on a new tyre run and just misjudged how much front grip he had in the car.
He's not got that car moving. He gets a whack from Cooper Murray. He just keeps it straight.
How about Darwood? He touches him. He gives him a rub and he sends him around to the first chicane. The teammates are into it.
He'll go.
Oh, man, it's on here.
He'll go for that. There was zero tolerance about contact at turn 1. That is a hugely contentious moment. So he just gently moved the car across in front of Cooper Murray and was tagged. And there goes Wood down the inside. So the first bit of contact, I think, is fine because the road's funneling in. But it was the secondary impact. There was a pause, then another hit. Ready? There's one. There's the second one right now. So there was a break between the bits of contact, and that was what unloaded Jordan Love. And I would think, knowing race control, that's the one they're going to be investigating.
Oh, wow. What a shot. It's the drama. Okay, let's watch this from Jordan's point of view. Oh,
That was Murray.
first one. Yep.
Here's the second. There. Here's the third. That's the third bit of contact. And he had a full turn of lock to try and get that car straight, so it's no wonder it pogoed the other way. So here it is from Darwood. This will be the telling evidence.
Oh. Man, Steve Johnson has seriously got some work ahead of him later. We've got every angle covered in this one, so there'll be no shortage of evidence. Oh, man.
6 drivers in it.
Hold that thought, sorry.
That's a wall. And it's Joey Mawson. It's one of the drivers you were about to touch on.
And that is a wall racing car. But we were just about to bring up the fact that this young driver is fighting for this Michelin Junior program.
Oh.
Behind wide at 8, and gave it a good old whack.
And almost exactly what happened to Tim Miles in practice 1 this morning that you touched on, to the point where McElroy were looking for signs of a puncture or a deflating tyre to cause that, because Tim was going slower than he did the lap before. He said he had a big slide, so the next time around I went a little bit slower. The car just snapped. So usually it's easy to the drivers try and pass the blame away, but even the team were going, well, we don't think he did anything wrong there.
So the Pro-Am pole sitter spinning through the centre chicane. Will we stay green here because they're still scrapping further back in the pack?
This is Tim Miles from Ashburton in the South Island of New Zealand. Goes down the inside of Grove, so his start wasn't great either. And they're wheel to wheel. Oh, he was helped. And it was Grove, the only car around, so Cam McConville's first day back on the job as the series driver standards advisor. Just got busy tonight. Have a look at that one. Quite a lot of damage to the front, but for such a high-speed bit of road.
Cook coming across on his line a little bit. Grove puts a bit more pressure on the brake pedal.
And a big change this year, Chad, is that the Pro-Am competitors no longer have access to ABS. It was a storyline last year. This year, the whole field ABS-free for the full season. We've seen throughout practice and qualifying some of these guys being unstuck by them.
Turn 1, and he is stuck in the middle of the road. And he's almost best to just not move at all now and let the field negate their way around him. Which way do you go? Some go under, some go over. That must be a nerve-wracking spot to sit as the field comes past. You can see them on approach down there. A lot of curb hops popping up and timing, but there's an obvious reason for that.
Cooper Murray went one way. Everyone else took the curb option. So there's Stephen Grove just in behind. So Grove is on the comeback trail.
Whoa.
Oh, he's just grabbed the rear brakes going into turn 1. He was having a look at Grove, who'd just gone by the 68 car from Wall Racing. Gee, that was narrow.
Gee, after a full year of having ABS at their disposal, it has made quite the difference. And how close was this for Cooper Murray? He was the only driver to go inside. Everyone else went outside.
Wow.
Wow, that was super close.
Hard in mouth, much.
Oof.
The 18-year-old. And launching to the air, David Wall. These cars don't react well to bumps. They're much stiffly sprung when you compare them to, say, a supercar at that same bit of road. So this is Stephen Grove, who's spinning out of the final corner, and this might have been why those two were running together, because Ward was a bit further back from this battle pack. So Grove's just barreled out. That's not a braking issue. That's just on the throttle too early. And
Madsen for that one. Started not too far away from here in Murray Bridge for that championship.
Is Alf going to make a comeback?
It'd be pretty cool.
Good, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It's such an iconic name, and it's great to see. What's going on? Slow car. It's one of the Bob Jane cars.
It's Armand, and the right front is bobbling away.
He's hit the wall.
Surely turn 11, the exit there. And it's just plucked it out. And he was having a really strong weekend.
Facilities. It's a great program. Here's a look. So Aaron Love sliding. He had opposite lock on. Armand was different. He just slid straight into the wall. Quite heavy contact. The right-hand corner of the Bob Jane T-Mart 77 car. Got a lot of the curb on the inside there as well. Oh, that's a pretty significant impact, actually.
Was it Stephen Richards who did that a couple of years ago?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. Good memory.
Similar to what's happened there. So he's in good company, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, he is five-time Bathurst champion. Thank you very much. And then the front corner of that car disintegrating itself. Some form of drama that drops him down the field.
Right, 2 miles. It's been a tough weekend after picking up the Pro-Am pole, his first one. Is this curb related or just brake related? Oh, there's the chatter.
Rears.
Yeah. It's like Sean Tate ripping up the middle stump, that sound, isn't it? The death rattle.
Well done, Cooper. Again. But the race will be scored at 10 laps. Oh, you're kidding.
This doesn't make things better. This really doesn't make things better. Aaron Love.
Tim Miles involved in that as well. David Ryan, Mark Sini, Indira Padiachi, Greg Ward. So right at the very end there, Aaron Love, who did finish 4th in that.
Well, he's trying to get this thing going because they all want to finish the race, but technically it's finished, so...
The race is definitely finished. It finished when the timing stopped. Oh, and he's done that on his own. How big's the impact that follows? Did everyone get stopped?
Well, it's ripped the rear wing off Dave Russell's car. Oh, that was close for Padiachi.
The issue for mine is that shouldn't have happened because the race should have already been stopped. It should have been ended after 10 laps, so that was 10.5.
Yeah.
That's a strange one.
Here it comes.
Oh, Miles, great job, Tim Miles. And in the context of an accident, that's a small one at this place. Great stuff, though, from these two. Amongst the most experienced drivers in the field. Big.
Oh, it's the 2 contenders. Max Twigg and Dean Cook out of action potentially.
Straight across the curb. There's contact there between the two of them. A puff of tyre smoke as they interlock Michelins. And David Waller with a good 1.5 foot in the air. And you launch the Gen 2 991 Cup car. Cameron Hill was doing the same before. He was in an arm wrestle with Dave Russell. And then this in the middle of the field. So Tavares Padiachi had the contact with Harry Jones. That's why he was slowed up. And Mark Sini, who had a very good 3rd place earlier on in the weekend in race 1, was looking pretty good. And this is what's happened to our Pro-Am contenders. Oh, that's a big impact. It's no wonder he was trying to shake that one off when he got out of the car.
Oof.
That seems fairly civilised.
James Courtney, who went in there a few years ago in a big way.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Oh, yeah, torn the left front corner out.
Well, it's not going to be an easy car to move as well.
It's lucky there is an access road just on driver's right.
Oof.
This is where the support categories actually drive onto the racetrack off Wakefield Street and onto the circuit to start up their warm-up process. So
let's watch this again from Tim Miles' point of view. Look, 2 or 3 cars up the road.
So this is Stephen Grove just in behind Max Twigg. It looked like maybe a little bit of contact, and then it continued on out of the corner. So Twigg was sliding out of turn 9 and was helped across into the wall.